Ooh, that torch looks nice. Yo, dudes. Oren here. Welcome to Monday Night Football. Green Bay Packers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. The thumbnail's a little bit different. I figured because I was at Lambeau Field before, I'd take a picture of something I saw in Lambeau Field, that giant Lombardi trophy. So it didn't say anything Green Bay Packers on it, but I think anybody who's been to Lambeau Field has probably seen it and knows what it is. So, yeah. And I'm looking forward to this game. Packers have had 11 days rest, and they're playing on the Raiders, who I think have probably next to no expectations. And I skipped Monday Night Football last week because I'm, trying to be picky about which primetime games I'm watching. So, based on my life schedule and everything. So, but I figured this would be a good Monday Night Football to get going and watching. So. Besides, Lions are going to be playing the Raiders on Monday Night Football a few weeks from now, so I figured this would be a good get in the habit of doing that. So, and the game has just started. I'm watching this on ESPN. I'm watching it with Joe Buck, Mr. Bias, towards the bigger market NFL teams, but that's okay. I don't think I watched too much of him yet this year anyway, so. It's kind of interesting to hear him on Monday Night Football. I know that he signed that deal last year to start doing that, and he's typically on the Sunday games, the World Series voice and all that. So, looks like Aaron Jones is not playing in this game. I'm looking at the lineup now, but Christian Watson is. So, I'm expecting Christian Watson to break out at any point in time. I think could be a superstar wide receiver. He's the one Packer that I think on this roster right now who's most likely to be a Hall of Famer. I know the Packers have always been about quarterbacks, but I think this could be like the Calvin Johnson era for them with that receiver. Raiders defense they're showing. Max Crosby's at the top, so he seems like he's one of the top dogs in the NFL, so number 98. I'll be keeping an eye on him for sure. It's him and Devontae Adams are the two players that I know about on the Raiders. And when I did my research on PFF and looking at the grades, I think the Raiders left tackle wasn't also doing a really good job being highly effective. So Green Bay has the ball first. They handed it off to Dillon, who gets a first down. ESPN's Monday Night Football bottom line is way different than what I'm used to reading. So it's there it is, the 1st and 10. Yep, 1st and 10. So I'm seeing more of those weird hats that people have been watching. Hi, hockey fan. Thanks for joining me tonight. Just watching some Packers and Raiders. So trying to follow along as best I can. Jordan Love's under center, 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. He fakes it, dumps it off to the running back, and he gets about 6 yards there. Flag on the play. You're from the grassy raid in week 1. Well, welcome. That raid was very useful to me, and I was hoping I would get raided by him at some point. Like I had this whole idea of doing, raid bait sessions, thinking I would get him eventually, but I got him like right away, like the very first second of me trying it by eating that cheeseburger, and that meant quite a bit to me. So, thanks again, Tom Grassi, wherever you're at, thank you for a hockey fan and all that. So, been inspired by him and several other YouTubers to try this out. It's sort of a New Year's resolution type of thing for me. So giving it a shot here. So I'm trying some fresh, unique ideas for the videos that I put out. And And then, this is just a trial by ear. Like this year, I'm just like trying to write everything and keep track of it on dry erase boards. Next year, I'll figure out the graphics for my own channel and that sort of thing. I missed the penalty, by the way, on that while I was talking. So, but I think it was against the Raiders. It's 2nd and 4. Or maybe, I don't know. They're about to touch the Raiders logo. I gotta say though, by the way, I'm a fan. I'm becoming a big fan of the script writer episodes that Grassi's been doing. So last week's was really hilarious, especially with the Bears fan. This I just watched this week's about 20 minutes ago, and that was pretty good. The Cowboys thing was completely justified there, and I like the Carolina Panthers not getting noticed in that one. So that should be another thing I do with my medium here, like give my honest reviews on other YouTubers' videos without spoiling too much. So, and yes, what he said at the beginning about the Taylor Swift stuff, I 100% agree with, and I did a video on explaining in detail what that was about. Oh, good catch there to Watson, almost out of the first down. It'll be second down now. I got to say, hockey fan, it's we've come a lot. Feels like we've come a long way since week one, and different vibes and point of views on certain teams and the way things are going so far this year. So the Lions are living up to the hype, and the Chiefs, they feel like they're not as good as you'd think they would be for defending Super Bowl champions, but they are still winning, and they're still, for the most part, getting the job done. Handoff to Dylan, and he gets nowhere. Line of scrimmage. They're like at the 48-yard line right there. Definitely on top of the Raiders logo. I think this is the first time I've seen a game, maybe first or second time, where I've seen a game at the Las Vegas field. From what I heard, the fans at the stadium are typically like tourists, and there's no like true Raiders fans who grew up in Las Vegas and have been passionate about the team forever. And that's impossible because the Raiders came from Oakland for a while. You're a Giants fan. Oh, deep pass, incomplete, almost intercepted. Sorry, I had to get there. I see that you're a Giants fan. I am so sorry for how this year has gone so far. You guys have a lot of primetime games, so that does count for something. I noticed that, especially like the first third of this year, the Giants are and the Cowboys are two of the teams that are on a lot of primetime games. So, anyways, 4th and 3 at the 44-yard line. Love and shotgun. Running back on his left. A 3 tight end set, it looks like. For my casual football fan knowledge. Oh, nope, they're just trying to draw him off sides. They'll do the delay game and then the punt thing. 4 and 3, going for it. Yeah, and I'm watching this on the NFL Plus app on my tablet, so my reaction, I think, might be delayed based on like what the ESPN play-by-play is, or from anybody else who might be watching it. So nothing I can do about that. You see this type of situation more often, though. I think I remember seeing the Lions doing that yesterday, or one of the other teams, where like they know they're going to punt, but they're going to act like they're going to go for it to try to draw them off sides. Then they just take the delay game penalty. That way, they don't have to take a timeout, and then they just punt it after that. So it's becoming more and more common, based on what I'm noticing. So. So, what are the thoughts like right now with the Giants fans about the way their season has gone so far? I know they've probably been underwhelmed so far, but like have people just been? Are they still like hanging on to hope, or is it like is everybody into like tank for the first overall pick mode yet? Or feel free to answer, hockey fan, if you want to. Last 2 seasons, like 2 or 3 seasons with the Lions before we got really good. I remember it was like all talking about the NFL draft, and nobody was talking about tanking, but they were doing mock drafts all the time, trying to wonder who they should get when we're rebuilding. And I was one of them, and I wasn't on YouTube, but I was doing mock drafts every single day in my spare time to try to figure it out. So, and I tend to be right more often than I'm wrong about stuff. So I knew they were going to draft Penei Sewell when they did. And James Mitchell, the backup tight end, I was also right about. And then I kept it secret, but I knew they wanted Jahmyr Gibbs, but I thought they were going to get him at 18 and not at 12. And then Hendon Hooker I also got right as well. So I'm starting to do mock drafts this year too. And I know, like, it doesn't feel like there's a big point to it for Lions fans because we're competitive now. But, it never hurts us. Like, it was more meaningful when we were bad and we were trying to rebuild and figure out who we wanted. But, it's something to do, something to think about for, laying the groundwork, getting to know the prospects on there, getting to know which teams are doing good, doing bad, what the needs might be. And speaking of which, Manuel Mosley, I saw that news while I was at work today, and it just broke my heart. I was like, dang it. Mosley just came back from his knee injury, played in his first game, played in a few snaps, then tore his ACL and is out for the season. It's just like Aaron Rodgers, except it happened on game 5 instead of game 1. So, by the way, they passed the tight end Mayer, and he got a first down and more as he ran out of bounds. So, very first play for the Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback. I'm assuming Garoppolo is probably a bridge quarterback, but, the Raiders I don't think are good. They might prove me wrong here tonight, but it doesn't feel like that they're trying to tank for a quarterback, I feel like they're the most likely team to draft J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, who does seem to be pretty good. Quay Walker got a nice tackle for loss there. Quay Walker, great defensive player, but when he plays against the line in the clutch moments, he always does something bonehead, like shoving a trainer or hopping over a lineman during a field goal. So, I'm thankful for it. And actually, I thought I explained this before on YouTube before, but I thought the Lions intended to draft Quay Walker and then who is projected a second-round guy, but the Packers drafted Quay Walker in the first round out of spite of the Lions for the Jamison Williams stuff. Devontae Adams does a catch, almost gets a first down out of bounds, but gains some yards there. Josh Jacobs is in the game too, but he hasn't done near as much as last year, though. Michael Mayer, I remember his name from the draft. That's right, he went to the Raiders. Good for him. By the way, not to brag and everything, I know Travis Kelce exists in the NFL, but Sam Laporta making an argument for being the best tight end in the NFL right now. Certainly the best out of all the rookies. Maybe the best in the NFL. He's at least become Goff's favorite passing target when Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't available. So that's been a nice surprise. So the thing I think the Lions like about Laporta the most, and what I like about him the most, is his ability to break tackles and get extra yards, like after the catch. Like coming out of the draft, he was the best at all the tight ends at doing that. And it looked like there was going to be a big wave of tight ends being drafted early in the second round, like Darnell Washington, everybody was talking about there. Michael Mayer was in the mix there too. Luke Musgrave, who is also probably going to be in this game. And Tucker Kraft, who is also on the Packers. And, But the Lions smartly, they did a trade back with their 6th pick and was able to get an early second-round pick and get their top choice of a tight end, and they went with Sam Laporta when I honestly thought like the Lions and Packers would be in conflict and both trying to get Darnell Washington, and that would have been going on. But turned out Darnell Washington had a medical red flag during the combine, so he fell to the 3rd round where the Steelers got him. I haven't heard too much from Washington with the Steelers. I said early in the season I chose the Steelers to be my second favorite team, but yeah, I know they did pretty well against Baltimore. Uh, their defense is great, but their offense is not. Now I kind of know what Steelers fans think. Like they feel like Matt Canada should be gone. Like Mike Tomlin is, even though everybody object, the objective NFL fans thinks he's one of the best because he's always had 500 or more seasons. Like they think that Tomlin is too old school and like refuses to make the changes that he needs to make. Like after they lost last week, Tomlin said, "Yeah, we're gonna have to make some changes." But apparently, the only change the Steelers made was during one of their practices they put on pads instead of not wearing pads. They didn't even do full contact; they just put on the pads, and that was the change they did. But apparently, it worked though because they did beat the Baltimore Ravens, and those games tend to be the most important between those two teams because they seem like they've always been a big rival. So. How was everybody's Monday? I know there's one person watching me right now, but how was that Monday? Just, going to work and talking to people, and what were like the NFL topics everyone was talking about? In my case, definitely the Chiefs winning as well as the Cowboys and 49ers. Like I went to a Starbucks restaurant and was talking to the cashier who was talking to another customer, and then I joined in about those ones. They're saying the Green Bay's defense. Devontae Wyatt's a starter, so it looks like he's developed. Jair Alexander's there too. Rudy Ford, the safety. I know him because he had an interception on Goff to start the game. Anyways, Garoppolo under center, 43-yard line. Hands off. Jacobs nowhere to go, right at the line of scrimmage. Handing off the ball to the running back on a 1st and 10 is like the equivalent to moving a pawn out in the middle as like your first one or two chess moves of the game. Of the chess game, that is. Only the chess game is this drive, so to speak, because you're trying to set up other playmakers to do their thing. Garoppolo drops back, passes to the side to 81, gains about 3 yards there. I hate to admit this, but hearing Joe Buck's voice, even though I hate it, I'm like so used to it. Like it feels like second nature. I've been conditioned to the Joe Buck voice for all these years. And I did not like him ever since the World Series the Detroit Tigers went to when they got swept by the Giants. And he was always like biased towards like the Giants side. Felt like because of the bigger market, even though, Garoppolo gets sacked. Kenny Clark fighting the lineman, then got to Garoppolo right there. Didn't even look like he saw him. Even though the Tigers deserved, I guess, the criticism they got from that, it would have been nice to give them some positive credit, I guess. But just trying to keep the bigger market happy, which in that case was San Francisco, I suppose. And now the Raiders are punting. So they got nowhere on that drive. 4th and 15. I heard some sort of chant in the stands. I couldn't make out what it was. That was a really good punt, by the way. They marked it at the 7. Oh, they're showing the outside of the stadium, and it looks like how did you describe that? It looks like a black circle, a sphere or whatever, with a gray middle. It's almost like a chocolate donut, but with gray filling. I know gray filling doesn't really exist, but maybe a doorknob. I don't know. A tire. Got it. It looks like a tire. Kind of a tire. Except the shade of black is a little bit lighter on the top part, anyway. 7-yard line. Love under center. 1st and 10. 6:30 to go in the first quarter. Hands off. And Dylan gets about 7-8 yards there, right up the middle. The equivalent to moving a pawn forward in the chess move. That is this offensive drive. In the Lions' case, like they have Montgomery, who can do that often so well that the defenses have no choice but to plan for it. And then that's when they bite you with their play action pass to players like St. Brown or Reynolds or Laporta. 2nd and 2. Handoff again, and he gets the first down. Oh. Yeah, that personal foul, I think. Somebody shoved that 50 Packers guy. Yeah, personal foul. Unnecessary roughness on Crosby. Yeah, he pushed him like right in the back. Yep. That was dumb of Crosby. Man, Crosby looks like a prisoner tattooed up type of guy. I wouldn't want to fuck with him. Excuse my language. Love fakes it, and he goes around to his left, and he's running it himself, gets the first down, and more, and he gets tripped up down to the 40. Nice scrambling play by Love there. I know Packers fans are always talking about, is Jordan Love going to be the guy? And we're finding out this year if that's going to be the case. I personally think he's all right. Not the best, but not the worst. I think of the same level as like Deshaun Watson right now. Oh, he drops back and he's passing, takes his time, lobs it up, gets it to Dobbs, the first down and more. Oh, fumbles it, but it goes out of bounds. Wait, Dobbs is not 81. Josiah DeGuara, that's what I meant. Anyways, Deshaun Watson has kind of degraded to a certain point, and then Jordan Love has risen to a certain point. So I think both those quarterbacks are at the same level right now. So that's what that context of what I mean as when I say Jordan Love is as good as Deshaun Watson is right now. So it was all right for a mobile quarterback. Christian Watson gets a handoff, and that's a loss of 5 yards. Luke Musgrave's on the sideline with Watson right now. Yeah, the linebackers just ate that all up. Like, they just pursued him. Oh, quick pass to the side. And they get him a couple of yards there. To Jalen Reed. Joe Buck's talking about Reed, who was playing in the slot, but he played outside when he was at MSU. Three minutes ago in the first quarter. I see the Raiders fan with the spikes and the face paint. Oh, I see more of them. One's wearing a gorilla mask. All right, so Raiders do have some fans after all. Love drops back to pass, processing. Chucks it. Yeah, throws it at an offensive lineman. intentional grounding type, maybe-ish. But there's a flag, but it's probably going to be on something else. Two gentlemen and a lady as officials over there discussing the play. An eligible player downfield. Decline. Fourth down. Just checking a few other tabs right now. Oh, it's a field goal attempt, 37 yards, and it is up, and it is good. Green Bay is on the board first. If you watched my shorts on the preview, both kickers have the same last name, and they're both perfect. So, Packers are up 3-0. We're late into the first quarter. Snack break in my new favorite bowl with my new friends. I swear I don't have problems. I felt like an office confessional cutaway there. So I have a fridge magnet power rankings video that's going to be coming out early tomorrow morning. I already recorded it, and neither Packers or Raiders are in the top 10, but if you look at this board here, you can tell which magnets are missing, and maybe you can get an idea of what teams may or may not be on there if you are willing to look at the blurriness of this from here to figure it out. No, I won't tease you like that. Take a quick look at the teams that are there and then make note of which teams are missing. I see the Jets, Patriots, Steelers, Browns, Bengals, Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Titans, Chargers, Broncos, Commanders, Giants, Vikings, Bears, Falcons, Saints, Panthers, Rams, and Cardinals all up there. And then obviously these two teams are over here. So which teams are missing and which teams are on the fridge right now? There we go. Well, thank you, Elia. I would agree with that. We Lions fans definitely don't give up, and we feel like we're being rewarded it for right now. We're having a great season so far, and hopefully things continue. So it's just the injuries that we've had to go through. Every team is having a lot of injuries, but the injuries are what worried me the most so far. Like one of the cornerbacks we had hopes for this season, who had just returned, got injured, and they said he's going to be out for the season. So Emmanuel Mosley. So that's unfortunate. So it's kind of making me think about doing a video about Brad Holmes' ability to find free agents because, you know, he signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and he's out for the season. And now Emmanuel Mosley's out for the season. Those are two secondary players that we signed that are going to be out. So Cam Sutton seems like he's doing a decent job. You never hear anything about him, but, you know, he's not making very many errors either. So he's a good signing there. Anyway, 1st and 10 for the Raiders at the 20. Pass, 1st down and more to the tight end. Mayer down to the 40. Michael Mayer might be someone I got to pay attention to. Oh, I forgot the Raiders traded up to give him. I honestly lose track of what the Raiders do in the NFL draft, especially after they drafted Alex Leatherwood a few years ago. Look how that turned out. Yeah, man, watch the game on the TV, whatever you're comfortable with. So, 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line, and there's a flag. False start on offense, 5-yard penalty. 1st down. Oh, fake handoff to give the other handoff to run the other way. And he gets a 1st down and more. He ran a long way there, but he got it. That was number 11. Trey Tucker is his name. Oh, gets the handoff, gains about 5 yards there. They showed that play late while they were showing faces of people on the sideline, so they got cut back to that one late. That was Jacobs running the ball there. 38, 37, 36 seconds left to go in the 1st quarter. 2nd and 5. Garoppolo drops back, lobs it up. Oh, it was about to be caught, but then the cornerback knocked it out. Incomplete pass. Jacoby Myers. And then Rasul Douglas. It's like the basketball, the NBA defender rejection. Of course, the basketball player I think of who does that is Ben Wallace, who is now in the NBA Hall of Fame. Detroit Pistons. Way back in like the early 2000s. They won a championship. They should have won 2. Garoppolo drops back to pass, and he is getting sacked. Preston Smith and Devontae Wyatt. I saw 2 Packers there. I suspected Devontae Wyatt was one of them. I keep trying to watch for Devontae Wyatt because I know he's a 1st-round pick and he'll do damage. He's a Georgia Bulldog alumnus. And those defenders are very popular, especially front 7 players. Most of them go to the Eagles, but the Packers got Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt from them a couple years ago. But that's the end of the 1st quarter. I'll be right back. All right. So I took those 10 teams off my fridge, and they're right here. What the heck? I'll show you what they are. Maybe it'll bring some people to the channel. Who knows? My power rankings, and this will come out in a video tomorrow. And I'm basing it less on point differentials and like records as so much as I am now, like on personal intuition and how many blowout wins the teams have, as well as whether or not they lost to a mid team or the amount of losses they have. They lose to good teams, but they don't lose to bad teams. So 1's the 49ers, 2 is the Eagles, 3 is the Dolphins, 4 is the Lions, 5 is the Bills, 6 is the Cowboys, 7 is the Bucks, 8 is the Chiefs, 9 is the Seahawks, and 10 is the Ravens. So, yeah. Do you agree, disagree? I explained more about my reasoning for that in my rambly form in the video there, but anyway, 1st and 10 for the Packers. They're on their 10-yard line, I think. Yeah, I was thinking really heavily about that one, but Love dumps off to the tight end, and he looks like he gets a first down running out of bounds. Where I come from with Lions over the Bills, the Bills lost to the Jets in overtime, and then they just lost to Jacksonville, whereas the Lions have only lost to Seattle, who, in my opinion, is another good team. So that's kind of where I kind of made that decision on. So I feel like the Lions deserve to be in the top 5, and I know I'm a Lions fan. I might have bias with that. I'm a homer, whatever. But I knew one of the one of the AFC East teams probably deserved to be in like that number 3 spot. I think it's definitely Taylor got a sack there, by the way. Looks like Crosby was getting all the attention there, and then – oh, no, that wasn't a sack. It was he tackled the running back right away there. But, yeah, basically, why did I put the Lions over the Bills? Because the Bills lost to the Jets, who are a bad team, and they had Zach Wilson in most of that time, and then they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are arguably – they could be a good team, they could be a mid team, they could be a bad team. No one really knows yet. And I know they had to go play in London, and Jacksonville's already been to London for a week, so they have the advantage there. But you know what? Good teams beat other good or bad teams under any circumstances. So, anyways, 3rd and 11 at the 19-yard line. Love and shotgun. Dropping back to pass, dumps it off, and Pat drops the pass. Taylor. Is Taylor the person the Packers just signed? If you go on the ESPN headlines. Yeah, I know. Same here. We Lions fans are cautiously optimistic. Like, how often have we watched a game where it looks like we're winning and we're going to win, and then it gets like ripped out from under us or something like really bad happens. So, yeah, it's natural to be cautiously optimistic as a Lions fan. That punt goes to the 37-ish yard line area there. But yeah, the Lions are one of the teams that they get blowout wins. They beat good teams, and if they lose to a team, it's usually losing to a good team, and they have to go into overtime to lose. that game. So, and that game they lost against Seattle. I think it just came down to Dan Campbell chose to be conservative at the wrong time. Like he went for the field goal to tie to go into overtime, but maybe he could have got the game-winning touchdown there, but it might have been too far away from the end zone there, and the Lions got bit by injuries really good in that game. But Seattle, they played a really good game too, so you got to give them credit. They had two of their starting offensive tackles missing, and they compensated for that by having like 3 tight end sets to help like double team players like Hutchinson, that sort of thing. And I hate the Seattle Seahawks now just because of how much of a pain in the butt they've been for the Lions these past few years. Not just for the games they defeated them, not just because of the they got in the postseason when we didn't, and it was directly related to them beating us, but they also drafted a player I think I wanted and the Lions wanted right in front of their draft pick, and when they drafted Devon Witherspoon. So, I've nicknamed the Seahawks the Wicked Witch of the Pacific Northwest. I know Grassi's got the Vikings as the purple incarnation of Satan. So, I'm seeing other chats in there about stuff I hadn't covered yet. Oh my God, my sister and mom are Swifties, and it's getting so annoying with the Taylor Swift stuff. Yes, I agree. I did a raid bait last Thursday night game, the Lions and Packers game, and then I made that its own video where I explained, hey, let's not let the Taylor Swift movement corrupt the NFL and let it take over, because it's not going to really go too well, because the core NFL fans, its main target audience is, the demographic is not usually Taylor Swift fans, and that's what I was trying to say. And I personally don't mind Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce dating. Like, if that's what makes them happy, all for it. But that was my rant for the social media people and the PR people and the NFL people. And I guess I must have predicted the future when I did that, because the next week or so, the NFL had to come out with a statement justifying the Swift movement. So, I saw that with Hockey Fan. I don't know how I missed that. So, that was a good run for the Raiders. Is that Jacobs? Yeah, they're down at the Raiders logo now, and it is 2nd and 1. And it looks like they easily get it. It's not a fumble, is it? No. I'm going to try to think of a thought-provoking question to type in here for everyone. Kind of a broad one, but I think one that could be good. The Raiders are trying to be tricky, but they're not really getting anywhere. That's long story short there. Dropping back to pass, and he's scrambling, going up the middle, and he gets sacked. Down he goes. Preston Smith again. That's got to be his second sack of the game. Or 1.5, because somebody else assisted on the earlier sack, It's funny, when I watch Aiden Hutchinson and he gets his sacks and everything, it looks like he gets 4 sacks, but then when you look at the stats, it's really 1 or 2, because they're all half sacks if somebody else assists on the sack. And you're like, what the heck? Why does it say only 2 when I know he got like 3 or 4? That was kind of my mindset when I went to the Lions and Falcons game a couple of weeks ago, and he did good there. Screen pass. Did he get the first down? Just short. 4th down. It appears they're going to go for it. All right, I put in a question here. What has been the biggest surprise of the NFL season so far? I think for me, off the top of my head, just Aaron Rodgers being injured and out of the season, and then the Jets going from being one of the biggest threats to being mid because of that. Well, I gotcha. The refs just said, "Oh, I gotcha." The Raiders are challenging the play, I guess. Okay, the Raiders are challenging being short of the first down. So the game's slowing down as we do this challenge. We're talking to John Perry, officiating analyst. They're showing his face on the graphic. He's bald. Oh, the call's reversed, and it's first down now. So good challenge by the Raiders there. Yeah, definitely. NFC South. I know everybody was talking about like the NFC South being irrelevant, but I figured there might be some teams that would probably rise up. The thing about the NFC South is the teams that I did not expect to be competitive are the ones that are actually competitive. So, like the Bucks being the biggest example of that. I figured the Panthers and the Falcons would be the most competitive, and I think the Falcons have been somewhat but the Panthers, they haven't even won a game yet. I was always kind of cautiously optimistic that they might smoke the Lions like they did last Christmas Eve, but they didn't, thankfully. And the Falcons are kind of going through some growing pains with Desmond Ridder, and they're still trying to figure out their stuff there. The Saints are like the team that I have no idea if they're good or not. Grassi says the same thing about the Tennessee Titans, but that is my point of view about the Saints. But they got a really nice win last game they played, so I almost put them in the top 10 of my power rankings, but I need to watch more Saints games and get a better feel for them. But then again, they allowed the Packers to come back and beat them, so what does that say? No, nothing against the Packers in that instance. Anyways, 3rd and 5, Garoppolo at the 35. He's in shotgun. Pass is caught, first down. Down to the 25. Mulliford Jr. No, the other guy. The Bucks definitely are surprising, though. Their defense is pretty good, especially the run defense, and Baker Mayfield is getting the job done so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Lions and the Bucks play each other. So that'll be a lot more interesting game than I initially gave them credit for. I think I had the Lions when I did my preseason prediction months ago. I had the Lions beating the Bucks by and scoring 50 points in that game because I thought the Bucks were going to be that bad. I thought they were going to be competing for the first overall draft pick, but yeah, the Bucks look pretty good so far. The AFC South. I know the Colts are kind of out there. The Jaguars, I think they're underperforming right now. I don't know about the Titans. The Texans have been doing pretty well lately, although they lost. That division's kind of up in the air right now, so that's probably another question mark type of division. So anyway, 1st and 5 at the 20. Hands off. Trying to bulldoze his way, only gets a couple of yards. Stopped right away. Someone is saying Detroit, Detroit, as they are showing Rashawn Gary. Oh, they're showing the graphic and the fact that Gary tore his ACL against the Lions in the middle of last season. Yeah, I remember that. A lot of Packers went down that game. Ford Field, they did change the turf that they use on there. They use something different, which should help reduce injuries. Because, I think the injuries on that turf from there was a problem that nobody seemed to be addressing, But thankfully, the higher ups are looked into it. So 3rd and 1. Garoppolo's pointing at people. He's under center. Fakes the handoff, gives it to another guy, and he just falls short, I think. 4th down. I would imagine a field goal at this point. The analytics say you should go for it, so Dan Campbell goes for it a lot on 4th down. People ask him, is it because you know a lot about analytics? Is that what it is? I don't think in his case it's about analytics. I think it's more about alpha male being a dog personality type, like psychological warfare against the other teams. Like, we don't respect your ability to beat us, so we're going to go for it on 4th down. Oh, they get the first down there. They run it. Nice blocking. It was kind of like a jet sweep type of play, and they got it. But knowing Dan Campbell, that's like his reasoning for it. And the lines are so good now. Their offense is good now. They don't always necessarily need to go for it on 4th down because they always get like the first downs anyway without needing a 4th down. They hand off to the running back again, gain about 5 yards there. The Lions also don't need to like regularly kick like 40 to 50-yard field goals because their offense is good enough to get down the field to where even if they get stopped and they have to kick a field goal, it's usually like 30 yards out or 20 yards out. So, which is good because their kicker, Riley Patterson, although he is accurate, he's not necessarily the rangiest. And I'm glad they brought back Riley Patterson because I think he was pretty good, and he was really good for Jacksonville. Garoppolo passes it, touchdown, Raiders. Jacoby Myers. That was down the middle. Kind of felt like one tackler and just reached out, boom, after catching it, and then touchdown. Yeah, I can see that. The Bills could be better than the Dolphins. And the Bills did defeat the Dolphins, so there's that. Extra point is up and good. And that AFC East probably not going to be as competitive as we all thought because the Jets, they don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. The Patriots, who I thought would be competitive early in the season, they're looking like a really bad team now. So the Miami's win against New England isn't as impressive as I originally thought there. So, but I mean, hey, any team that can put up 70 points is probably going to capture my attention, and it still has, even though they did lose to the Bills. But the Bills also lost to the Jets, and they did lose to Jacksonville there. So it could be either one of those teams up there. So with my power rankings, I just went with Miami over Buffalo right now. I predicted before the season that Miami would win the division, and Miami, I guess they really haven't had much competition when they played teams besides the Bills. Although the Chargers, they had a really good offense, and that was a good shootout game, and they won that game. So that's got to count for something. But yeah, the NFL is in a passing league right now. That's where the stock market curve is right now. And the Miami just so happens to have the best passing offense in the league. So as far as I can tell, when I use the stock market analogy, I'm talking about like how the teams trending are like the teams with the wide receivers and the good pass rushing game and the innovative ones. And that's where the good teams are right now. And then other teams are going to compensate by, the running backs and the short route plays and the good running game and the rushing game. And they'll try to beat teams that have prepared for the teams with good wide receivers with their defense. And they'll beat them with the running games to make up for that, which is like what the Lions are doing, which is what the 49ers do, and that sort of thing. And then the stock market metaphor will curve to the other way and that sort of thing. I use this analogy with Major League Baseball and how the Chicago Cubs built their team to win the World Series because they were rebuilding in an era where teams were winning with they were developing pitchers while bringing in undervalued position players. That's how teams were winning at the time, like the Oakland Athletics, Detroit Tigers did that, I remember. But the Chicago Cubs, they decided to draft position players and then bring in undervalued pitchers. And they anticipated the change in the curve there. And then they took the league by storm during that time. So that's what I'm trying to say with the NFL, with it being a passing league and how soon it's going to turn back into a running back league, so to speak. And I think you're seeing teams in the NFC that have good rushing teams really doing that. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts, the DeAndre Swift, and their rushing game. The 49ers are doing that. The Lions, they've always wanted to be that team. They're doing that now. So I think you're seeing that change in the curve in the NFC, at least with the best teams. Anyway, 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line for the Packers. Love passes intercepted. Spillane. Interception. Love throws an interception. Maybe Love isn't as good as we were all hoping. Didn't look good there, that's for sure. I got to update this. I'm surprised this game is as low scoring as it is right now. And I'm surprised the Packers aren't blowing them out. How do you not see those two Raiders in front of your target? That just looks like a bad decision. I'm sorry. Yes, Miami's really fast. Hand after Jacobs goes nowhere. So when the Lions played the Dolphins last season, and then the Dolphins came back and defeated the Lions, and the Dolphins were like setting records with their receiving team and their reception yards and everything against the Lions. And after that game, that was when the Lions fired their secondary coach, Aubrey Pleasant, at the time. You might remember that first game with Lions against 49ers. Aubrey Pleasant was the guy who was chewing out Jeff Okudah on the sidelines and being like, do your job, do your job, do your job. That just so happened to be the coach that got fired. And then Brad Holmes traded TJ Hawkinson. And after that Dolphins game, and then the Lions players had their own player meetings, being like, "Guys, what's going on here?" And then that's when they started doing well. Sideline reporter, Quay Walker, right knee. They're being looked at. Geez, I didn't even realize Quay Walker was injured. But he's getting looked at. This could be big for the Packers. Anyway, 3rd and goal at the 8-yard line. Garoppolo fixed it. Oh, he passed it. Preston Smith blocked the pass. Like it was halfway to the check down person, and then Preston Smith got there and was like, poof, basketball rejection. That was a great play. So now it's 4th and goal. Do you go for a field goal here after the law of interception? Yep, they're going for the field goal by the other Carlson. Kick is up and it is good. So Carlson is 1 for 1, and Carlson is 1 for 1 in this game. Joe Buck just called them the Carlson brothers. I should have known that. I should have known that when I did the short. Apparently, they really are brothers. 2 brothers that are kickers in the NFL. Why was this not a headline story by somebody? I wish I would have saw this headline somewhere before, and I probably would have tried to capitalize on it somehow. I feel like I've been rambling a lot tonight. I barely know where we're at in this game. I know it's 10-3 Raiders in the second quarter. The Packers offense has been underwhelming so far. I'm sorry. Especially after that interception that just happened. And I know Aaron Jones was supposed to be a big part of the offense who is not playing in this game. So he played a little bit against the Lions after just coming back, and now he's out again. So I don't know. If you're a Packers fan, are you worried at this point? I mean, after losing the Lions, you definitely don't have first place right now, and it doesn't look like there's hope for that. But losing your players, getting injured, I know Quay Walker, I guess, is getting looked at for a knee or whatever. But when are you starting to? If you're a Packers fan, when are you starting to think, okay, things are happening? What are we going to do about this? I don't want to say push the panic button because I think it's a little early for that, but I feel like the Packers, assuming the Lions win the NFC North, which I hope they do and which I think they'll do, I think the Packers could be a contender for one of those wild card spots in that scenario. So, you got to compete. You got to just keep going in the marathon and maybe make a trade or two, maybe bench somebody, maybe somebody comes back and gets healthy, and then maybe it's just like last year, Christian Watson gets super good at that point in the season again. They started like this last week. They should be fine. Okay. I forgot about the Saints game. They started like that, and then they come back in the second half, and then they started to look like they were coming back in the second half against the Lions, but then the Quay Walker penalty happened, and then that kind of killed the momentum. But no offense, but I wasn't really worried about the Packers being able to come back against the Lions because the Lions are they're built to be a difficult team to come back against from because when they get the lead, they'll run the ball and run the clock down. And then they'll intercept you when you least expect it. So, but yeah, the Packers, I don't doubt for a second that they can come back. So they have a lot of good pass catching targets, a lot of good weapons on their offense. So Players like Jalen Reed impress me. Luke Musgrave impresses me. Romeo Dobbs impresses me. Christian Watson, I'm waiting for him to break out again because I think he could be really, really good. Love under center, 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Hands it off, gets Mets in the backfield. Loss of a 1 or 2 by Max Crosby. Crosby gets up. That Max Crosby is a demon, I tell you what. Two-minute warning. For anybody who's wondering, no, I'm not doing raid baits for the time being. So I'm out of ideas, and I'm trying different things right now. So besides, I got the raid that I wanted way earlier on, which wasn't what I planned. But I'm grateful that I got it. So instead, I'm probably just gonna read the halftime box score statistics for each team. Maybe go and get a snack or something. Well, I already have a snack. You know how halftimes are. When I went to the Lions and Falcons game, my halftime was basically trying to find a rest room that didn't have a huge line. And then I just finally got into one of the longer ones nearby. And then I just waited, and kept going. And then I finally, got to the restroom, and I got back out, and we were already 2 minutes into the third quarter by the time I got back to my seat. And it's just that's why I guess go to the restroom at the 2-minute warning instead of leaving for halftime, because everybody else does that. But at the same time, you don't want to leave before halftime, because what if something interesting happens? You want to catch every moment of the game as you possibly can. NFL slots. I saw a commercial with a slot machine that looks like it's geared toward the NFL. If I ever see that at a casino, then that'd be interesting. I used to work at a lot of casinos a few years ago. I started to develop a thing for casinos, but I think I'm over that now. Not for gambling, but just for working and just for having a place to hang out. Just the lights and the sounds of the ringing slot machines and the big screen TVs everywhere, that sort of thing. We are back. 2nd and 11 shotgun. Running back on his right. Processing. Scrambles to his right. Gets rid of it, and pass is deflected and complete. Love was pursued by Crosby there. Third and 11. Love gets rid of it. Pass is complete. About 5 yards there to Musgrave. Right on the 3. The number 3 painted in the grass for the 30-yard line. So 4th down. 1:35 to go in the half. Showing Matt LaFleur, who's focused right now, is I don't know what to make of Matt LaFleur and his personality. Like, I want to think he's more like a McDaniels type, like the Dolphins head coach, but he seems like more like a guy that you don't really want to fuck with, I guess. He used to work at my alma mater in the Michigan area. Anyway, the punt and then recovered, tackled at the 24. They're showing shots of the Vegas area. There's a building that's like an X and then another like a boomerang. Had to check my email for a second there. But yeah, I'm learning a little bit about the Raiders. They do look like they're capable of moving the ball downfield on their offense, even without Devontae Adams. Mason Crosby looks like a beast, so he'll definitely be a challenge to block for sure. And yeah, maybe like the Raiders are actually like an average-ish type of team. It's just because they play in the AFC West where there's no hope because the Chiefs are in that division, and then you got to deal with like the Chargers too. That you don't hear much about the Raiders as often as you do. And then I know the Raiders do have a good streak going against the Broncos. I know about that because it seems like I always hear about it from Perna every other time I watch GPS. But yeah, I'm trying to watch more of Perna's content as best as I can because he is a Lions fan. Although I hope like in certain ways he's not like rooting for the Lions in a way where he inadvertently curses the Lions, because that does seem to tend to happen with him. And then I actually stumbled across his wife's YouTube video, Jess's YouTube videos. She had like a video saying like, "Oh, how come Perna won't do a video about Taylor Swift?" And he rightfully like answered like, "Well, because we fans already know we're gonna get sick of it." So he just keeps ignoring it, and it's funny for the context of that video. And then I saw part of another video of Jess's where she's kind of documenting what's going on around life in the house while Perna was watching the Jets beat the Broncos on the scoop and score. And Perna was not happy. Like she was like filming like a vent in the floor, and you could hear Perna's voice, and it had the feel of a Family Guy cutaway. Hand it off to Carter. Goes nowhere. Out of bounds. No gain. They're showing the stadium, the dome stadium that kind of looks like a tire. Oh, they're showing a graphic now. Devontae Adams, 1 reception, 8 yards. 12 yards, 73 yards, 0 to 1 touchdown. Wait, I'm confused by this graphic. Oh, he has 1 reception, 12 yards, while the team has 8 receptions, 73 yards, and 1 touchdown. Yeah, they're not using Devontae Adams as much. I imagine they have him like double covered and triple covered or whatever. Like they respect him because he used to play for them, so they know what he's capable of. So it's like in the Super Bowl, you have a superstar receiver that you hardly ever hear from because they know they're being covered and they're like a decoy. And then like in the last handful of plays, you start to throw the ball to them more because you need to depend on them more. Anyway, 3rd and 10. Garoppolo drops back. Just passes down the middle. Is that caught? Caught. First down and more. Near the logo. Timeout by McDaniels. The Raiders. 31 seconds to go in the half. They're showing the angles of how he caught it. Maybe a challenge. Yeah, it looks like he caught it clean with possession, even though he was already down. No, none of this process stuff. Anyway, 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Garoppolo and shotgun. Dropping back, processing, gets it off down the middle. Caught in double coverage, 1st down and more. That was Myers on the catch. Darnell Savage is injured, apparently. He's hobbling. He's hopping. Showing the replay of the catch. Cuts down the middle into double coverage and catches it. That was an impressive play, an impressive catch. Raiders take another timeout. The last one. Another quick pass, gain of about 5 yards. Across the middle to Renfro. The hurry up huddle. Or no huddle. No huddle. They spike it. 15 seconds to go. I just realized I haven't checked any of my fantasy teams. I got 4 of them. I kind of missed last year when I just had 2, and I think I'll do that next year because I just have way too much to keep track of, and I'm like not as invested in the teams or in specific players because I have a wide variety of players on different teams that I try to keep track of, which is part of the reason why I really like Travis Kelce as a player and Tyreek Hill too. He's the only one I had it on both of my teams last year, and he helped me do well on both of them. Some sort of shouting match going on. Refs are trying to push him back. And the field goal. Carlson is back out there. A 50-plus yarder. Presumably to end the half. 12 seconds to go. 4th and 3. 53-yard attempt. I think someone... Green Bay calls their last timeout. Trying to get the kicker to... Trying to play mind games with the kicker by calling that timeout. It's typically like why you would call a timeout in that scenario. You want the kicker to think about their field goal, and then you want to try to let them get doubt in their minds. Mind games like that. It's a beast. How you doing, buddy? Just tuned in. Did Adams get a revenge touchdown yet? No, not yet. He's only had one reception of 12 yards in this game. They just showed the graphic. The kick is up and it is no good. It looks like someone tipped it. Wow. Wowzer. That's the first missed field goal by Carlson. Yeah, someone got a pinky on it. Josh Nyman. No good field goal of a 53-yard attempt. Yes, correct. Myers got the touchdown. Myers is impressive for a tight end. Not as impressive as Sam Laporta, but still pretty good. Pretty good offensive receiver weapon. Packers get the ball up. Scrambling to his right. Is still scrambling. He's running it himself, and he gets a gain of 2 yards overall with that as he goes out of bounds. Yeah, my thing with Adams, I feel like he's probably double covered, and he's so much a part of the Raiders' defensive plan that they're just not giving them the ball until they need to. Kind of like in the Super Bowl when you have a good wide receiver who everyone's planning for, so you use them as a decoy until the last handful of plays when you start to rely on them then, you know? Kind of like when the Bengals won the Super Bowl and then with Jamar Chase. And man, in that last Super Bowl play, Jamar Chase was wide open, but Aaron Darnold was in pursuit and got that quarterback down to help the Rams win that Super Bowl. Also, don't forget Quay Walker was having his knee looked at earlier on the sideline. I haven't heard of any updates about him yet. They're talking about Jordan Love's interception. Sorry, I'm so invested in this interview they're doing right now. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Beast. As a Lions fan, I've had to watch the Lions be in the cellar while the Packers were like the kings of the NFC North for a long time. So I definitely know and relate to that feeling. So I think I got all those demons out of my system. However, when I attended the Lions and Packers game, at the last game of last season, though, so and I don't hate the Packers as much as I used to. I think because of stuff like that now. So I on game weeks when the Lions are playing the Packers, it's always an it's on bitch type of vibe with me and the Packers. But when in games like this, when the Lions are playing other teams and the Packers are playing other teams, I'll tune in and try to get to know my fellow NFC North teams and what they're doing. So, but yeah, if anything, I feel more that way. Like if Aaron Rodgers is doing something with the Jets, but he's done for the season, so it's like, I'm learning a lot about Las Vegas' stadium. They have like that giant torch in the middle of that stuff. Yeah, go ahead, Curtis. Homework comes first, so I'm speaking from experience there. Trust me. You think we'll sweep them this year again? Can you be more specific, Beast? I assume you're talking about the Lions and the Packers. If that's the case, yes, I think the Lions are probably going to sweep the entire NFC North. They almost did last year. If it weren't for Campbell decided to go for a field goal instead of a fourth down play or a punt against the Vikings, and they missed, and the Vikings came back and on a comeback drive and beat them. That was like week 3 or week 4 of last year. If the Lions did something different in that game, because they were in control of that game, if the Lions did something different there, they would have swept the entire NFC North. So they almost did last year, and I think they can do it again this year. It's to the point where playing NFC North teams is almost like trap games, you know? If anything, you're worried about a trap game against Chicago, like, oh, crap, Chicago might beat us when we were least expecting it, you know? Which I hope doesn't happen. But yeah, not only do I think they'll sweep the Packers, but the entire NFC North. Unless, of course, the Lions already clinched the NFC North by the last game of the season and they're resting their starters. In that type of scenario, and the Vikings beat them because of that, then maybe. Oh, they have the Stanley Cup there. I forgot the Vegas Knights won the Stanley Cup. You know, good for them. They have an NHL star. Sorry, I don't watch the NHL, but I think I know enough of what's going on here. Ah, yeah, that is interesting there. I'm glad you told me that, Beast. So I didn't know about that, about the being from Oakland. I honestly had thought it had something to do with like Las Vegas or something. Can you explain to me like the design of the Raiders stadium? Like they've shown a couple of outside shots of it, and it kind of looks like a tire with a gray center or a car wheel. Yeah, I agree with that. So I kind of felt like after doing the Panthers games, like maybe one or two players were taking plays off, but for the most part, they destroyed them. They had a lot of their starters and star players out, and yet their second team, third team type of players were in, and they were dominating. So goes to show how much depth the Lions have. That's another reason why I rank the Lions ahead of Bills, because we know the Lions after that game they have depth players. If their starters are injured, then somebody can fill in and they can still get the job done. Jack Eagle. I probably butchered that name. But the NHL starts tomorrow, so interesting. I hear a little bit about the Detroit Red Wings, who they were really good in their day. I always thought the Red Wings were like the New York Yankees of the NHL, but I think those times have passed. But they're rebuilding and they're doing some good things. So their general manager is their former team captain, Steve Yzerman. So I know they pulled off a blockbuster trade where they acquired a goal-scoring all-star type of player. So, yeah, I might have to pay attention more to the NHL if more interesting things like that happen. So, oh yeah, that would make sense with Grassi talking about that. So, I hear you there. So, but yeah, I just saw the stadium there, and I was thinking, like, what the heck is that design? Like, I'm trying to think of the best way to like describe it. Like, I didn't want to say like donut because it was like too much of like a sphere, like a square shape on the edges, and like tire almost sounds inaccurate because like the black part seems like a light shade of black. So maybe not a trampoline, maybe a trampoline. I also kind of wanted to say like doorknob or something. I don't know. But yeah, that Tom Grassi 30 for 30. So good stuff there. So I remember like him jumping through the table in Buffalo, and then him almost getting arrested outside of Ford Field when the security wasn't told that he was supposed to be there. So, but lots of good stuff. I remember the earlier stuff the most because that was, and then I kind of got busier in the summer and like things got complicated with me for there. But I love that how much he enjoyed his visit to the Cincinnati Bengals stadium there. So that was good. I'm gonna have to revisit that series. So, and then I was too busy to be able to drive to Green Bay or Detroit to be able to like attend any of the fan events there. So I know the Chicago stuff kind of all backfired. I think he referenced the fact that Taylor Swift had a concert there at the same day, but he was hanging out at the Navy Pier, which I had been to before for New Year's Eve. So definitely very windy there, but good tourist place to go to all around to check out. So it was a funny story. Like I bought a ticket to go to some sort of like a party there at the Navy Pier on like a upper floor and everything. But I went there, and apparently everybody was all dressed up in like suits and ties and everything, and I just showed up there in like a plaid shirt and jeans, trying to interact with everybody, and I quickly could tell that I was definitely I definitely like screwed up what my plans there, and everybody could tell. So I didn't wind up staying there long. I ran into a friend from college there, from the college newspaper, briefly, so we caught up a little bit there, but that was pretty much it. So funny story. Anyways, Red Wings made consecutive playoff appearances for like 20 something years up until recently. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like the Wings, I remember like were really good. Like I grew up around people who were like really like into the Detroit Red Wings and always like talking about them. I remember as a kid when they won the Stanley Cup in 2002, they signed like a bunch of like all-star free agents like Brett Hall and Dominic Hasek and those type of players. And that was an exciting time then. So I think I went to a game. Brett Hall scored a goal, but they lost to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. I think that's what they were called at the time. So that was my only exposure to the Joe Louis Arena, which is where they played at the time. So, and then they beat their arch rival, the Colorado Avalanche, in the conference final, and then they blew them out in that final game there. So, but yeah, I remember that. I talked a little bit earlier about the Detroit Pistons. I remember as a kid, like those teams were really good. They had like Ben Wallace and Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, and those players. They had a good couple year run, and Larry Brown was their coach for a couple of years, and he really got them going. So they were a defense type of team, and they were really good at it too. And I like the Pistons like the way they were because like, it was a team effort. Everybody contributed something to make the team good. Whereas as opposed to, you have LeBron James doing all the work and everything, and then the team is successful to that. So a team built like the Pistons makes me excited about basketball. Whereas if you just have LeBron or one other superstar doing all the work and they're good because of that, then it's less interesting to me, if that makes sense. Which is why I like sports like football and baseball, because it is impossible for one player technically to carry a team when you have like an offense and you have a defense with different things going on. So whereas basketball, you could have one player in theory carrying a team like that. So like, because baseball, you have a pitcher and then you have hitters. And then in NFL, you have definitely different positions like a quarterback, a lineman, or a wide receiver, or a cornerback, and a kicker that have different skills and do different things and contribute to the game in different ways. Like it's more of a team sport. That's what I kind of like about it. Like anything that kind of matches the Miracle on Ice story, so to speak. Yeah, yeah, it does kind of seem like that. Like the Red Wings would get good, and the other teams are bad. Like at that time, like and then the Tigers, they were really good for a stretch in the early 2010s, and they were like the team everyone, liked that during that time. And now we're in a new stranger age where the Lions are the team that everyone's excited about, while all the other teams are supposed to haven't been performing up to par. The Tigers were supposed to be good during these times, but they weren't, and their general manager got fired, and now there's a new guy taking over and making them more sabermetric minded. All right, we're in the third quarter, and Garoppolo, the Raiders have the ball. He checks down, and they get a few yards there. It's looking a little more misty in this game. That's a surprise. Either that or the camera, something's wrong with the camera. But it does seem like it's a little more misty there, as far as I can tell. I don't know why that is. But yeah, Detroit fans, the fans in Detroit are definitely passionate about like all their teams. So, especially like if you turn into like Woodward Sports, their YouTube channel, there's a lot of passion for like the teams. Not all of them are like, what's the best way to say it? Like nice about it. I mean, after all, you got the bad boys from the past, and the fans are branding themselves kind of at the villains now. So that's kind of like their brand, I guess, like trying to be the bad guys in that way. So the fans are kind of adopting that. So you might hate them because of that, but like, you know what? That's the motto, I guess. So I have a white sweater, a hoodie that says villains on it. So I got that because Brad Holmes wore that in a press conference one time. Oh, tackle for loss by the Packers. Enoch Barre. That was a 2nd and 13 play. Showing the replay, and nobody was blocking to him. So he had a straight shot. Covering his zone, and then he just went up and gobbled the running back. Garoppolo intercepted. Rudy Ford, another interception for Rudy Ford. Wow, Garoppolo scrambled and tried to pass it to somebody running through there, and then Rudy Ford comes up like from that other angle and intercepts it. Oh boy, Packers looking like that second half team that I keep hearing about. Yeah, he was covering in front of that guy the whole time, and hand off to running back and gain of 5 yards there. AJ Dillon. 28 is AJ Dillon. I should remember that. Oh yeah, I definitely bet. So soccer in America is a sport I don't think it's talked about as much as it does. So that's good. Good for them for the USL. So there's an injury on the field there. So, but yeah, so I do try to keep track of Detroit sports when I can. I honestly though I tend to keep track of like more of a league whole than as opposed to like all the teams in a city. So I've always grown up mainly following the Detroit Tigers and following Major League Baseball, and what's going on there. But like a few years ago, I just kind of, got over it, so to speak. So I'll kind of keep track of things here and there. But, that sport just kind of changed so much and became about like different things and then, I always kind of casually followed the NFL and the Lions and a little bit of college football too. And then, when the new regime for the Lions took over, then I started to really, really get invested in it. And I discovered like YouTube channels of, people keeping track of the same stuff. And I got more invested in that, especially like the humorous ones. So, and now I'm kind of more of a overall NFL fan. And then I'll pay casual attention to the other three sports whenever the situation calls for it. So, but yeah. Yeah, that was something I was trying to figure out before the season started. So, if you've seen my earlier streams, then you kind of know the context of it. But my secondary favorite teams used to be the Chargers and the Seahawks. Now the Seahawks are the team I hate the most. But I decided before the season started that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be my favorite team just because I feel like they're also a gritty type of team like the Lions. And then I tried to do more research on the Cleveland Browns and thought, oh, hang on, maybe the Cleveland Browns are the team I might like more because they build their team in the way that I think I'd want to build a team with a good offensive line and a really good running back, that being Nick Chubb. And then I live streamed and watched the Monday Night Football game against the Browns and the Steelers. And then Nick Chubb got injured and left that game and is out for the season. So I literally said, whoever wins this game, that's the AFC team, that secondary team that I root for. But the Steelers have been really bad so far. So the more I learned about the Steelers, the more I realized that, Matt Canada is a real problem for them, I guess. And then the Steelers are kind of in prison because, like, Mike Tomlin, like, refuses to make changes. Love scrambles for a few yards there, by the way. So, yeah, I wanted to root for the Steelers, but, like, I kind of don't want to anymore. I kind of want to go back on it. But the Cleveland Browns, they don't have Nick Chubb anymore, so it's like, So, yeah, it's tough to try to pick a good team to root for there. So, yeah, I agree. I agree with the Seahawks. They've become a real pain in the butt. Like, the 2 years prior to this year, the Seahawks beat the Lions by scoring 50 points or almost 50 points. And then the Seahawks, eliminated Detroit from the playoffs this past year on the last day. And then the Seahawks drafted Devon Witherspoon literally right in front of the Lions draft pick, whom I'm pretty sure they wanted there. And then they beat us in overtime this year. So that my detest for the Wicked Witch of the Pacific Northwest Seahawks has really, really grown up to this point. So, but yeah, it's a lot like the Niners and Cowboys situation. There's a first down, by the way. Green Bay is getting momentum, and they're waking up. Yeah, I was just saying that they did take Witherspoon, and I'm pretty sure they wanted them. Like, he fits like the culture and what they were trying to do there. So, and he's really good friends with Kirby Joseph too, because they both played at Illinois together. Yeah, play them to beat them for 100%. 100%. Handoff. Getting a few yards there, close to the 20. Dang, Green Bay is moving like they're on a mission. But yeah, I'm kind of going back to the drawing board a little bit to try to figure out my AFC team because I want to have a secondary team to focus on so that way I don't focus too often on the Lions and then get, sick of them because I focus on them too much. You know what I mean? So, like it's almost like a piece on the side, like in dating. I don't know if that's frowned upon by some, but the same concept applies if you know what I mean. Hand off to running back. He's getting the first down into the 8-yard line. It'll be first and goal. Nice run by Dylan there. I feel like Bills would be the too easy of an answer. If the Steelers had a better record, then I confidently say them. And if the Browns didn't have Chubb injured, dang it. All right, first and goal. Handoff again. Gain of 3 yards there, down to the 5. Hey, peace out. It's Sub Beast. Have a good sleep. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Go Lions. One pride. And go Vegas for right now. Dylan, touchdown, Packers. We have a ball game, folks. Do you go for 2 right here? I feel like it's 2 in the third quarter. Like you could just get the extra point and take the easy points, and then there's a whole lot of ball game left. I would just go for an extra point here. Yep. Extra point. Kick is up, and it almost missed, but it's good. We have a tied game. The Packers capitalize on the Rudy Ford interception and get a touchdown. I forgot to look at the box score stats at halftime. I can do that here in a minute. I want to check out my analytics first. $42 views on that one. $60 views. Okay. I'm looking at my analytics, and why is the Bears and Commanders game more popular with people than the rest of the streams? Maybe it's just because I set up the SEO stuff better for that one. Maybe. Golden Knights. Fastest expansion team to win the Stanley Cup. Garoppolo dropping back, 1st and 10. He's kind of scrambling. He's right. He gets rid of it. Passes incomplete. Intended for Meyer. He dove for it. Would have been a first down, but he didn't catch it. Hmm. 2nd and 10. Garoppolo and shotgun. Pitches it to his running back. To Jacobs. Gets about 3 yards there. I'm getting notifications from the Detroit Lions. Lions score a razzle-dazzle touchdown. Yep, we definitely saw that. They love doing those trick plays, keeping the opponents on their toes and having that psychological shock to the opponent. 3rd and 6 on the 29. Garoppolo scrambling to his left, gets rid of it. Out of bounds. He was under pressure. All right, punt return down to the 12. This should be another thought-provoking question. In my opinion, the answer to this question is the punt returner. Because when you have kickoffs, they usually tend to go to the end zone or whatever, and then you automatically start at the 25. But if you get a punt, and then you can return it for a good enough chunk of yards, and this isn't just on the punt returner, but the blockers too. If you can get good blocks and then a good run there, you can set up your offense really nicely to drive the ball downfield and get a touchdown. So, and then, field goals kicking and extra point kicking, that's important too. It's one of those things where, you never notice it when it's perfect, but then when it misses, then you're mad at the kicker. So the thankless job for the kickers there. If you don't believe me, go and watch Ace Ventura Pet Detective and follow along with Ray Finkel. Laces out. But I want to try to learn more about special teams. I want to be like the Bill Belichick and be more of a special teams nerd and have more knowledge about that, because we talk about the offenses and the defenses all the time, but what about the special teams? Because part of the reason somebody would get a defensive player would get drafted in the middle to late rounds is because of the value they bring on special teams. You typically like linebackers and safeties are who you'd look for that, but special teams in some cases can make or break a game. So I personally think it'd be nice to have some knowledge on that. Love is scrambling to his left. Deep pass. Christian Watson catches it all by himself, and he's dodging people, lots of yards and everything, all the way down to the 10. Gets taken down at the 5. That wasn't a touchdown. Forget that. But big play by Christian Watson. I keep telling you guys, this guy is super good, and he just did something there. I don't know how he got schemed to where he was wide open, but it worked. Good pass by Love after scrambling. Defense got penalized, though. Not important. Yeah, the Raiders secondary must have screwed up there. That was a horse collar tackle. That's the penalty. 77-yard gain. It's 1st and goal now. What a play by Christian Watson. Hand off to Dillon. Nowhere to go there. The score is tied at 10. And it's 2nd and goal. 6:11 to go in the 3rd quarter. Love and shotgun. 2 running backs on each of his sides. Hands off to Dillon. This time he gets a couple of yards. Third and goal. At the 4-yard line. Passes. Incomplete. Did someone throw their hat at the ball? Dobbs is out of the back of the end zone. That's why the ref threw the hat. So here comes the kicker, the kicker brother, 22-yard attempt. So after that huge Watson play, it looks like they're going to settle for a field goal, which is up and good. So now the game is somewhat where I expected it to be, with Green Bay in the lead. Whoops. Packers are ahead 13-10. I think this will be a good time to check out some of the box store stats. Stand by for that. All right. Jordan Love. Wait. Stop moving on me. Jordan Love is 9 for 15 for 136 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jimmy Garoppolo is 14 for 22 with 141 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And then A.J. Dillon, 16 carries, 61 yards, 1 touchdown. And then also Jordan Love, while rushing, has 2 carries for 37 yards. Josh Jacobs, 11 carries for 25 yards. Green Bay receiving, Christian Watson, 2 receptions for 83 yards. So that 77-yard reception was part of that. So when he does do something, he does do damage, Christian Watson, which is why I'm always looking out for him. So Luke Musgrave, also 3 receptions for 13 yards. With Josiah DeGuara, 1 reception for 19 yards. Meanwhile, for Las Vegas receiving, Jacoby Myers, 5 receptions for 61 yards and 1 touchdown. Michael Mayer, 2 receptions for 39 yards. And Devontae Adams, 1 reception for 12 yards. Devontae Adams has had a very quiet night. Oh, yeah, and Hunter Renfrow, that might be a familiar name for some. 1 reception for 7 yards. Green Bay has 3 sacks, 1 by Preston Smith, 1 by Kingsley Egnamore, and then 1 by Kenny Clark. And the Raiders have 1 sack by Trayvon Mohrig. I talked about him a bit before. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now. And then Robert Spillane has an interception, and Rudy Ford has an interception. So, yeah, important to keep track of that stuff every now and then. Green Bay's receiving game hasn't really, besides the Watson stuff, hasn't really been that relevant, which surprises me. I guess I still have the first impression of their week win game against the Bears in my mind, where everybody did something where they're playing better teams now and they're not as effective. Oh, there's a big run by Jacobs there, down to the 50. Jair Alexander, excuse me. Jair Alexander got tripped up, I guess, by Jacobs there. He had a good running back move, and Barry Sanders and just slant run while Packers were chasing him toward the out-of-bounds spot. 1st and 10 at the 50. Everybody's on the Raiders logo on the field. Handoff. Gain of about 4 to 5 yards. $4:15 to go in the third quarter. 2nd and 4. Alert, alert, alert is what Garoppolo is saying while under center. Hands off. But he's met right there, so no gain on that. He tried to scramble toward the out of bounds, but tackled right at Ford was there. Third and 4 for the Raiders. Still near the middle of the field. Quick pass, And it's a first down to Myers. They're still showing the Devontae at. Oh, flea flicker. Pass is incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10. Rasul Douglas on the stop there. I gotta be honest, I actually don't mind Joe Buck that much when he's not announcing when my favorite teams are playing. Of course, somebody's probably complaining that he's biased against the other team. Oh, there's a first down to Devontae Adams and more. Down to the 18. There's Devontae Adams doing something. So the Raiders themselves are moving the ball in this drive. So they're all the way down to the 16. Garoppolo, quick pass to Adams again, gains 3 yards there. 3 or 4 or 5, something like that. In the red zone, receptions 110 first, touchdowns 59 first for Devontae Adams. He's a good red zone wide receiver. Point taken. Handoff to Jacobs, gains 2 yards there. Down to the 9. 1:08 to go in the third quarter. It'll be 3rd and 3. Don't mind me being quiet. I'm just in suspense with this drive. Are the Raiders going to score a touchdown? I see Darth Vader wearing spikes on his shoulders, really cheering on the crowd there. Garoppolo and shotgun. Adams whistles blown. Oh, play clock was down to 2. McDaniel was forced to call a timeout. Allegiant Stadium. Will the Raiders score on this drive? And will it be more than just a field goal by one of the brothers on the team? I keep forgetting their names now, but I learned while listening to this broadcast that the kickers on each of the team are actually brothers. And I pointed out that they both have the same last name before, and I wish I would have known that when I made that YouTube short to preview the game. Anyway, 3rd and 3, Garoppolo and shotgun, running back on his right. Everyone's on the line of scrimmage. Quick pass, caught, first down. 1st and goal at the 2-yard line. So now they're passing more to Devontae Adams. It's like the Super Bowl game with a superstar wide receiver where they're a decoy for most of the game, and now they're depending on him as they're later in the game. Wrong tube. And that's the end of the third quarter.
This is a pretty good Monday Night Football game. Quite competitive.
I don't know if this game has very much stakes to it. It's just entertaining. The Raiders are probably bad enough to where they won't compete for a playoff spot, but the Packers might compete for a wild card spot at this point in the season. I mean, it's only week 5, but both these teams have their thing going on. I'll be right back, actually. I'm back. Touchdown, Raiders. I got back just in time to see it. Raiders take the lead again. Josh Jacobs rushed the touchdown. Oof, that was a close one. Oh, yeah. Classic running play up the middle with good blocking. Old fashioned. Kick is up and extra good. They pointed out that Quay Walker is still out. Raiders are back in the lead. Note to self, have the Packers and Raiders in more primetime games. But I really get the feeling that, because I think the Raiders did this against the Chiefs last year. They'll make it competitive, and then on the very last play of the game, it'll be some sort of controversial way in which they're going to lose, and then that'll be the story for the week. Not that I'm wishing anything like that to happen here, because it seems to happen way too often to teams like the Denver Broncos, and it used to happen to the Lions all the time, but not so much anymore. Knock on wood. So, I'm deep in thought about NFL stuff right now. I have a power rankings video coming out tomorrow morning. Neither one of these teams are in it, but I already kind of showed you guys what teams it'll be on there. I guess if you're watching, you get a preview again. I won't justify the picks here, but I'll tell you again who it is. I guess my hot take was the Lions were ahead of the Bills, but I justify it because the Bills lost to two average teams, where the Lions only lost was to a good team, which had to go to overtime. So, but yeah, number 1, San Francisco. Number 2, Philadelphia. Number 3, Miami. Number 4, Detroit. Number 5, Buffalo. Number 6, Dallas. Number 7, Tampa Bay. Number 8, Kansas City. Number 9, Seattle. And number 10, Baltimore. So I had the Texans in there last week, but they lost. So maybe the Texans can be my favorite AFC team. They seem like they're showing flashes of improvement. And even though I don't like Ohio State as a college football team, I always kind of like C.J. Stroud when I scouted him. I thought for a little while maybe the Lions might draft him, but ultimately he went to Houston. So, but he's very much like a Jared Goff in terms of being accurate down the field type of passer. Plus, he can scramble, although he chooses not to unless absolutely necessary. So, but I'm happy to hear that C.J. Stroud is doing really well so far. And I know the Texans have Will Anderson and Derek Stingley Jr., so they're doing all the right things to develop. What's the name of the new head coach that came over from San Francisco, defensive-minded? DeMeco Ryans, maybe? Packers give it to A.J. Dillon, gets a couple of yards. Not much there. If the Texans get flexed into a primetime game, I might just have to stream that. Heck, I might even stream them for one of their 1 o'clock games. Next chance I get, depending on the type of game. They're showing replays of the Cowboys 49ers game from last night's primetime game. Oh, Dallas Cowboys. Oh, Jordan Love, deep pass. Almost caught it for Watson, but just a little too far. He was in tight coverage there, a one-on-one. Almost caught it. Almost. Right through his hands, the tip of his hands. Shoot. 3rd and 7 anyway on the 28. Green Bay's 28. Love and shotgun. Dropping about to pass. Diagonal to Watson. First down. No, not Watson. Whoever. Reed, I think. No, Wicks. Yeah, I was about to say, who was 13? Anyways, 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line. Love hands it off. Dillon gets probably a good 5 yards there. And my screen froze because I got an email, apparently. Is it still live? It appears so. I will stop that. There's more Raider fans with the customs on. There's a scary bird looking Raiders fan with a scary bird mask. Love under center, 2nd and 4. Quick pass to the side to Dobbs. Hops for the first down. Did he get the first down? Looks like he got the first down. I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas challenges it, assuming they have timeouts. Then again, you want to save your timeouts for the last part of the game, wouldn't you? First and 10. Everybody's on the Raiders logo on the field. Hands off to Dillon again. Fighting for those extra couple of yards. 4-yard gain there. Some sort of piece of paper or something flew up into the air that came from somebody. Maybe like a thigh pad or something. No, not iPad. Thigh pad. That was random. $49-yard line. Everybody's on the Raider logo. Another handoff. Packers think that they're the Detroit Lions with how they run the ball, but they're not. Not as good. The Raiders seem like they're doing a decent job continuing to run, so I'm going to check the box score, but this time for team stuff. Third and 4 on the 46. You love quick pass. First down. Pass caught to Luke Musgrave. Luke Musgrave catches it for a first down. Green Bay has 105 yards total rushing and 155 passing, while Vegas has 80 yards rushing and 186 yards passing. So turns out Green Bay is slightly better at rushing, and Vegas is better slightly at passing. And Crosby just sacks Love right there on the logo there. And then he kicks himself in the helmet. Crosby's 5th of the season, Joe Buck says. Oh, yeah, he just came out of nowhere there, like ran right around the blocker. 2nd and 17. They're back on the Raiders logo. Love under center. Drops back to pass. Down the field. Deflected and intercepted. Intercepted. It bounced off somebody in tight coverage and then bounced forward, and then the Raiders player caught it. Dang. Another interception for Love, but that one wasn't really his fault. That was just a freak play. Wowzers. I have underestimated the Raiders here so far. Watson was the target, but he was covered too well. Like, the pass was like deflected in front of him, and then it bounced forward into another Vegas receiver. So probably not a good decision on Love's part for that one. Yeah, I'm trying to anticipate how good of a threat Las Vegas is going to be with Detroit when it comes time for Monday Night Football. They're doing pretty decently against Green Bay here. Crosby could be a problem, but the Detroit has really two good offensive tackles with Taylor Decker, assuming he continues to stay healthy, and then Penei Sewell, who was in his prime. Taylor Decker got the game ball in the last game, by the way. It was his 100th career start, apparently. So, had an emotional speech and everything. That was cool to see. Taylor Decker's another type of person who we don't talk about often enough, but he deserves a high amount of credit with the team for what he's been able to do. So he's one of the highest paid Lions, right up there with Goff and with Ragnow. Like right when Holmes took over, they made sure to extend, Ragnow and Decker to make sure when they do the rebuild, they keep their really good offensive line intact, which was a smart move there. So otherwise, you'd probably have to spend, your first drafting more offensive linemen, and they only had to draft one in that one and, complete it, so to speak. So, and they've had a good offensive line intact, like when they're healthy because of that. It's past my bedtime. Trying to wake up early and going to the gym. But I'm prioritizing this game because this is fun. Garoppolo and shotgun, quick pass, caught, gain of a center and 8. He runs out of bounds. They're talking about the interception. So the safety being able to help factored into that. Ball at the 40, 8, Garoppolo under center, hands it off. Jacobs gets a couple of yards on there, tackled by number 20. This is Love's second consecutive game with multiple interceptions, too. He started off, with a good first few games, and the honeymoon phase is kind of over now. Like, once they played Detroit, then the tides kind of are starting to shift the other direction. It's making you really wonder at this point, is Jordan Love the guy? Garoppolo gets sacked. Rashawn Gary, there he is. He's doing something there now. Because Jordan Love, this is his, fourth year? Spent 3 years as a backup to Rodgers. And then you got to figure out if you want to do the franchise tag on him after this year, right? Or extend him to a longer extension. Maybe the Packers draft another quarterback in this next draft. Maybe they get J.J. McCarthy or Caleb Williams or the North Carolina quarterback. Or someone else. The one from Texas. Penalty on offense for delay a game. I'm starting to learn about the NFL draft and who the quarterbacks are, and I'm not really interested in quarterback anymore because the Lions did draft one who may or may not replace Jared Goff. Not looking like it that way because Goff is playing really well right now. They're punting. I'm more interested in cornerback, especially now that Mosley is out for the season. And I knew Sutton is the only signed cornerback beyond there. Jacobs is still on a rookie contract, but he's supposed to be a depth piece and not a starter, but he's doing really well right now.
And then Mosley was on a 1-year contract. Probably not going to bring him back, unfortunately, because of the injury. Brian Branch has been doing slot corner work, but he'll probably be in the safety position primarily next year, you would think, with Gardner Johnson also probably not going to return because he's missing the rest of the year injury. So going to have to start thinking about Brad Holmes and his free agent decisions with the secondary players. I know he worked hard to try to improve it, but two of those guys are done for the year with injuries. But yeah, I'm thinking cornerback, at least for the first round pick this next draft, assuming the right one falls to them, or they have to trade up to go get one. If not, then possibly an offensive guard, maybe a big-bodied wide receiver who's good at contested catches. Those would probably be the three positions of need I could think of right now. Other than that, maybe depth at running back. I mean, Craig Reynolds does good. Gibbs, is going to improve and be good. Montgomery's doing a good job right now. And then the only other person you have is Cabinda, who's a fullback. Yeah, they might be fine at running back. I don't know. Because I think they let go of Jefferson, who was a 7th-round person who they've had on the practice squad for a bit, but I think he's finally been cut. I don't know if he's on the practice squad anymore, though. Zonovan Knight, they have him. I almost forgot about him. I'm thinking about this because I do intend to do a video later on in the week where I do a 7-round mock draft for the Detroit Lions. Of course, it's way too early for us because we're competitive, so we're not daydreaming about the draft in the future and everything right now. But still, I think it'd be a maybe somewhat useful video to do for like the future and everything. Cornerback, offensive guard, and possibly another wide receiver are the three needs I can think of. Love scrambling to his left and the rainbow and almost gets sacked, but he dodges that and he gets the first down going out of bounds. But there's a flag. 6:54 to go in the fourth quarter. Holding on offense. Half the distance to the goal. Oh, Tucker Graff. Oh, he wrapped up the leg of the guy. Tyree Wilson, I forgot about him. I heard about his name a lot in the draft. A lot of people thought the Lions would take him, but he's starting, but his PFF grade is really low right now, so he's a rookie. He's developing. Maybe not developing as much because maybe the Raiders aren't good at developing that stuff. Pass to Watson, gains a few yards there. It was 1st and 18. Be right back. Can you handle Max Crosby? The answer to that is no. The announcer saying, Love tries to check down and then incomplete. They're calling it a catch, but it's no gain on the play, really, because he got back up to the line of scrimmage. Incomplete pass, yeah. Yep, and it did bounce.
We got quite the chess match going on between these two teams, with the Raiders leading by 4. So the Packers need a touchdown. A field goal wouldn't help, would not tie it or take the lead. So they need a touchdown to get back in the lead. At 5:50 to go. Love jogs back. He goes deep, incomplete, too short for Watson. And now it's 4th and 10. Now you're with 5:43 to go. You're at the point where Vegas can just start to run the ball and eat the clock. Unfortunate that Green Bay could not get a first down here, so. No. Oh, yeah, they're punting it. I thought they were going to go for it for a second there. Fair catch at the 33. Joe Buck talking about Max Crosby and his struggles to get to be sober. Learning a lot about him, so good for him. 4th round pick, 2019 draft from Eastern Michigan. I didn't know he was from there. Pro Bowl of each of the last 2 seasons. Wow. So he's like the Josh Hamilton of the NFL, so to speak. You guys remember Josh Hamilton from the Texas Rangers? Really good slugger for the Rangers, and he was sober for a while, and I think he had a relapse. Never missed a game. Hard worker. Garoppolo drops back, pass down the middle. Jacobs gets the first down. Detroit is good at this, eating the clock and running the ball and making those type of decisions and getting the first down when they need to when the clock is at a certain point. Hand out to Jacobs, and he's fighting, almost gets the first down, running across the Raiders logo. Garoppolo hands it off again, gets the first down. Down to the 42. LaFleur calls a timeout at 3:23.
Calling another timeout? No. Clock is down to 3:02. Raiders still have the ball. It's 2nd and 11. Raiders are in control at the moment. Packers are hoping for a scoop and score. Fumble recovery. Garoppolo, a quick pass down to Jacobs. Gains 3 or 4 yards. Daydreaming. 3rd and 6. Thank you, Joe Buck. Got close, but now it's 4th down. Short by about a yard. All right, commercial break. Figure out what the Raiders are going to do with their 4th and 1 situation. Was that the 2-minute warning? I know, like it's good strategy to run the ball, wind down the clock when you have the lead, but it gets really boring and the game really slows down. Coaches are calling timeouts, all that sort of stuff. But it also builds suspense for maybe a big play can happen that's clutch that could win you a game or lose you a game. You never know. Just doing another quick check on the stats. Garoppolo had 8 yards in this game, passing. And Christian Watson's up to 91 yards, while Jacoby Myers has 75 yards on 7 receptions. Crosby has a sack and 4 tackles for loss. Spillane has 2 interceptions. He should have been the one I highlighted in my preview video. Oh, well. Uh-oh, am I frozen? Nope, I'm good. Oh, they're going for a field goal. They are going for a field goal. 4th and 1. 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 4th and 1.
A 52-yard field goal attempt. Interesting. And the kick is up. And it doinks. Hits the upright, no good. It is a doink. Oh, wow. What a decision. And it doesn't work out. So now the Packers have 1:56 to go to try to get the lead. Doink. Blah. Barely any sound on that. It reminds me of Dan Campbell's decision when he lost to the Vikings early last season. You either punt or go for it, I guess. The Packers could still come back and win this now. That's another missed field goal in this game, by the way. Second one for Daniel Carson. But to be fair to him, both of those were 50-plus attempts. The Raiders have 2 timeouts left. Green Bay has 1 timeout left. Third and 1. And the refs are further reviewing it. Announcers thinking it should be a first down. Yeah, I would agree with that before he went out of bounds. First down. The officials made the call unofficial. I forgot to mention that MNF was at the Lions game, so got this trend of celebrities making appearances at these games now. And MNF is one that we Lions fans will tolerate because he's part of Detroit culture. So he's been going to Lions stuff for a little bit now. He was part of Hard Knocks as well. So I saw him cheering on the Lions during that game too. I forgot to mention him. So Musgrave gets down to the 40, almost to the first down.
And Love gets rid of it. Incomplete. Out of bounds. Stops the clock at 1:22.
I feel like we have plenty of
Third and 2. They hand it off, and they get the first down. They're down to the 35. And Love passes it to Dobbs. It's deflected out, incomplete. Why am I looking at my phone when I should be looking at the tablet? Love drops back, pass across the middle. Oh, almost intercepted. That was a 2nd and 10, intended for Musgrave, and double coverage in the middle of the field. Agreed, Buck. 2 catchable plays back to back, not caught. I keep praising the Packers pass catchers, but they're not coming through in the clutch right now. Third and 10 at the 35-yard line. Love and shotgun. Dropping back, scrambling, gets rid of it, goes deep. Intercepted in the end zone. Amik Robertson picks it off. 44 seconds to go in the game. Yeah, I think the Raiders are going to win this one. I'm wrong again in my preview. Yeah, I figure the Packers might not be a good team. I'm sorry to say it. They might be average at best. They tried to go for the home run on Christian Watson. A very Aaron Rodgers thing to do, trying to play hero ball. Not executed well. Well, folks, I'm going to end this one. I think I'm confident in saying the Raiders are going to pull out the win here. So, hard fought and everything. So they did surprise me. I learned quite a bit about them. Christian Watson's sitting on the bench with his hands in his face like that. So can't be too hard on him because Raiders coverage, I think, was actually pretty good. So whatever they did, good for them. So learning a lot about the Raiders. Crosby's a beast. Garoppolo gets the job done. The running game gets the job done. So Raiders defense is formidable, but I think the Lions should be able to take them on in the weeks to come. So we'll see how that plays out. So, congrats to the Raiders for winning. Actually helps out the Lions because that's another loss for the Packers, and the Lions are farther ahead in the NFC North there. So, I learned about Max Crosby. He's an interesting player for sure. So, Garoppolo, serviceable. Devontae Adams, I barely did anything in this game. Had a couple of catches, though, so not really the story. But, this was good and competitive up for a while. So I'm going to end this stream now. So
glad I was here. So be on the lookout for more of my content. Probably won't stream again until maybe the Lions and Bucks. I haven't decided yet. I want to try to watch teams that I haven't watched yet. So until then, go Lions, one pride.